So again, I'm gonna repeat my words that I told you about them. I have the first way that I'm gonna read. I'm gonna read the blurb or the excerpt, and I'm gonna take the main idea from it. Then I'm gonna go to the questions, answer the question that directly states the lines or big picture or little picture. Another way is to skim the passage in less than 2 minutes. So like that, if we have 4 passages, take care, because we have certain time. We have certain time, as we mentioned, for 35 minutes. And we have 4 passages with 40 questions. So if we say 2 times 4 equal 8 minutes, that means out of 35, 8 minutes only is going to be for skimming. And this is going to help you directly to find the answer. Let's find, and you have to try both of the ways to find which one is going to be suitable for you. So here he said literary narrative. I'm not going to read by myself. I'm going to let you read. So Dr. Ahmed Sulaiman, may you read the first passage, please?
Okay. From one night?
Yeah, from literary narrative. Even read the blurb.
Okay. The passage is from the essay In Betweens by Diana Abu Gabir. The narrator moves to Jordan with her Jordanian father, American mother, and 2 younger sisters.
I think now the blurb give us a kind of clue about now. It's a narrative or a story about people in Jordan.
Okay. One night after my sister and I are in bed and the baby cats have ceased their crying, my parents come to our room whispering and nudging each other. Their smiles sly as if they shared a private joke. They shake us out of sleep and say, "Come on, we're going to do something." We yawn, slide out of the warm caves of our beds.
Our parents?
Okay. Our parents are gesturing us out the front door, their laughter loud, lowered and mesmerizing. Then we are running across the stone courtyard, my sister and I, barefooted in cotton pajamas, the stones waxy beneath our feet. The neighbors and the street are all asleep, the buildings shut up, rose tinted under a brassy round moon. In one corner of the courtyard, tilted
under the staircase. Under the staircase, Ahmed. Hello? Dr. Ahmed, I can't hear you. Hello? Anybody can hear? I'm sorry. Dr. Ahmed, can you hear me?
Yes, now I could.
Okay.
احنا وقفنا فين؟
In one corner of the courtyard.
لا احنا وصلنا لحد as my parents opened the car.
No. Your sound stopped on that part. In one corner of the courtyard.
Okay. In one corner of the courtyard, tilted under the staircase to the upper floors, is the scooter, its red gleam muted now, private and soft. For a moment, I think of my grandmother back in New Jersey, who wears a lipstick in the same fluid tones, red shot through with an undercurrent of blue. I look back at it as my parents open the car. We drive through parts of the city that I've never seen before, where the lights glow like melted butter and the girls on the sidewalks are wearing brimmed hats and high heels. Men smile and turn to watch our car passing. I watch back, hands pass to the window. Then we race beyond the glowing streets. They dwindle to a star, and the road ahead of us is long and dusty blue and smells like a warm blue musk, like the heat of a sheep's back. When we finally get out of the car, there's a gravel lot, an expanse of folding chairs,
sparkly restaurants.
Sparkly restaurants wedged in a long crescent along a flat blackness like gleaming enamel. Dad holds his hands out toward the gleam, and "What did I promise you kids?" he asks. Though I recall no promises related to anything like this, it's the Dead Sea. We've come as usual with no preparation, so my parents let us run into the water in our underpants, like the Jordanian kids around us. The salt water is satiny, so soft and dense it seems to bend beneath our arms. My father, who was generally afraid of the water, comes out of and shows us how you can sit in the sea. He lazes back in it, and my sister tows him around by his hair while he makes boat sounds. One of the restaurants on the lip of the water has a string of red lights that drop their reflections in the moonlit water. They make me think of the lonely red scooter. After a while, I struggle out of the water, yanking up my soggy underpants with their sprung elastic waistband. Mom is stretched out on a canvas chase lounge, holding a drink with a little parasol on the side. She wraps me shivering into a beach towel and makes room for me beside her on the lounge. I blink out of my towel cave at this new place around us, then touch my mother's rib through her cotton shirt. Mom, how long do you have to be best friends with someone if you're best friends? She flitters at my bangs. They're drying stiff with salt. Well, honey, I don't think there's any rules about that. I guess you can be best friends with someone your whole life if you're lucky. Are you and dad best friends? It's hard to make our expression under the cherry lights. She seems to be thinking about it, staring out to where dad is still drifting around, piping and tooting like a tugboat. You have to do whatever your best friend says, right? Now I can see her face, amused and weary. Why do you say that? Dad said to come to Jordan, right? There is even less sound now than before. If that is possible, just a slip of waves on the shore, a sighting wash like the sound of someone saying hush hush or the rustle of the palm rounds arching over the sand. Your father needed us to come here. He needed to see what it felt like. Okay. What does it feel like? I ask quietly, not quietly knowing what I'm asking, just following the path of the questions. I don't think she starts, then stops. My father is climbing out of the dark wash at the sea. I don't think it feels the way he remembers it. I put my hands on her waist, something that feels a little like a spark of alarm bounces through me. Does he know that it doesn't feel the same? She looks over her shoulder, my father's shadow falling toward us in a long, cool slip as he walks beneath the neon lights. He's still finding out. The medicine waters of the Red Sea roll behind us, and the wild, heavy scent of honey, rocks, and thyme tempers the air. People come to dip themselves in these waters to be cured of everything from skin ailments to spiritual wasting. I breathe in deeply and sense a sort of dawning sweetness of loss and nostalgia.
Okay, as you can find right now, as I told you, only 2 minutes. More than that is going to be a catastrophe for you because you're not going to be sufficient to arrive to the 4th passages. So this one of the way you have to try today with the 2nd, with the 3rd and the 4th passage in that test. I just help you in this one just to get more information about it. As you know right now, the Ahmed read, but Ahmed actually read right now with a kind of scanning, skimming, because skimming is going to be more quick. It's going to be more quickly than this. Clear, Dr. Ahmed?
Clear.
Okay, so let's look at the first question. And the first question asks you, the point of view from which the passage is told is best described as that of a first-person narrator who. We know now that in the passage it talk about the girl that she went with her American mother and the Jordanian father. They returned to Jordan. Take care. So now this kind of question is the tone. Because I skimmed the passage, so I know about what happened. But if I only depend that I'm going to look at the question and search for the information, take care of that. This is going to we can deal with it as a big picture. And we know we can deal with the big picture by reading the first paragraph and the last paragraph. So we're going to return back and read the first paragraph and the last paragraph and concentrate, if it's a big one, on the first sentence and last sentence. Here he said, one night after my sister and I are in bed and the baby cats have ceased their crying, my parents come to our room whispering and nudging each other, their smiles sly, as if they shared a private joke. They shake us out of sleep and say, come on, we are going to do something. The last one, the medicinal waters of the Dead Sea roll behind us, and the wild, heavy scent of honey, rocks, and thyme temper the air. People come to dip themselves in these waters to be cured of everything from skin ailments to spiritual wasting. I breathe in deeply and sense a sort of dawning sweetness of loss and nostalgia. Okay, now we know that it's a kind of trip to the Dead Sea. So if we come to answer again, this kind of question doesn't have any line. or it's a big picture as we read the first and the last. If you feel that it will take time, you can skip any question that doesn't have line and come with the question with the lines. So here, let's see which right answers, as we know that it's a kind of trip to the Dead Sea in Jordan for a family with a mother that is American, a father that is Jordanian. So he relates the action of several characters, but reveals only her own inner thought. I think in the first paragraph, it was mentioned I many times, and she's talking about what she feels. Here also she said they, so this about people. Also here she talked about the people and why they start visiting the Dead Sea. So we can say that it's right. Focuses on interpreting the behavior of one of her sisters. Yeah, it mentioned her sister, but it wasn't the main thing. She talked about they. She talked about they. So not mainly one of her sisters. So we can cancel this because actually it wasn't mentioned at all. Both relate the action of and share the inner thoughts of her mother, father, and sisters. Again, she doesn't mention anything about inner thoughts. She talks about people, why they visit the Dead Sea, and she talks about that her father and mother when they enter her room in the beginning. So no. Retells the story, maybe, that has been told to her by someone else? No. It's not told by someone else. It's told by herself. She is one of the characters inside the story. So there's no the right answer, so the right answer is A. Let's look at the second one. He said, Engineer Omar, may you read the question, please?
Number 2.
Number 2, yes.
Which of the following statements based
Capture a main theme
capture a main theme of the
passage.
passage?
Again, we know that the main theme is like the main idea, and we're talking about the passage, so it's a big picture. So now we have 2 questions that answered only with one way. So I'm not going to read again. I'm going to just make elimination. It's not hard to understand what makes someone a best friend. We didn't find anything talk about best friend. Nothing. A dramatic life change can be both exciting and difficult. Maybe there is a drama here because it's a story. Maybe it's a drama because it's a story that the father and mother enter a place, then they find someone, then or the father and mother get up the girls, then she start talking by the end about the Dead Sea. So maybe trips, okay, they are talking about trips that are taken spontaneously are the most enjoyable trips. Yes, I think now that they didn't take any decision about the trip in the beginning because their father and mother walked them up, and it wasn't a kind of a prepared trip. So maybe, as I told you, maybe. But he doesn't say that it's the most enjoyable trips. So I'm gonna only mix between G and H for the time being. Older siblings can help younger siblings understand the new situation. It wasn't mentioned at all that they help each other. Sibling means brothers and sisters. It wasn't mentioned except that their mother and father wake them up. So I'm going to cancel this also. So I have J, G, and H. It can be stated which one of them when you read the other question. Question number 3. I'm going to keep them. I know that the answer is G. But as I told you, when I'm answering, I'm going to find this both can be accepted. Let's go to number 3 and Engineer Ziad. No, there is again, Engineer Ziad, because there is a lagging in the sound.
It can also principally be inferred that which of the following objects refer to the passage as being special but
unexplained significance to the narrator. Take care. This is an inference function without mentioning the line. He just tell us or mention some of words that I need to search. So as I told you, with the first way, I'm gonna keep it till the end of the passages, except that I find them or I read them. With the second step, Dr. Ahmed actually read the whole passage. And let's find which of these to start be mentioned, like canvas, Jay's lounge. It was mentioned, yes, when she sat next to her mother. The cotton pajamas, it was mentioned in the first paragraph. The brassy Ramon, it was mentioned when they are not walking, driving in the street, and the red scooter. If we read, actually, you're gonna go like, now I know which one is mentioned, but I found that the red scooter start mentioning on those lines, look here, and in this line, mean that it's important to the narrator, but we don't know that are unexplained in importance or not. So I'm gonna read the part that he had the scooter. He said, in one corner of the courtyard, tilted under the staircase to the upper floors, is the scooter. Its red gleam muted now. He's talking now about the scooter has a kind of speech that she wants to mention, private and soft. For a moment, I think of my grandmother back in New Jersey, who wears a lipstick in the same fluid tones. He's talking about the color of the scooter. Red shot through with an undercurrent of blue. Okay, so maybe red scooter because she reminded her of her grandmother. Let's go to the red scooter here. He said, one of the restaurants on the label of the water has a string of red lights and drop there in reflection in the moonlit water. They make me think of the lonely red scooter. So the scooter remind her of her grandmother. The scooter here remind her, or it start to mention the restaurant, start to be mentioned like the red scooter. So I think this is the most important thing, but it's unexplained. Why it looks like her grandmother or why it looks like the restaurant. So the red scooter. The other only mentioned one time and it doesn't have any kind of important. Why I said that this is important, as I told you, the grandmother and the restaurant that she started describing a lot. Streamer Adam, number 4.
The narrator's question, Mom, how long do you have to be best friends with someone if you're best friends? From line 56 to 57, let's go into a discussion about the...
Okay, here it's an inference and function by mentioning the line, so it's an easy one. Let's go to line 56 and 57, and don't forget that you have to highlight that kind of parts. Let's go from 56 here. Mom, how long do you have to be best friends with someone if you are best friends? This is a kind of question, and if we have a kind of question, we have to proceed to know the answer. So I'm gonna take the part after. So here she said, she flitters at my banks. They are drying stiff with salt, but she didn't answer the question. I need to find the answer for this kind of question. Well, honey, I don't think there's any rules about that. Also, we don't find the right question. I guess you can be best friends with someone your whole life if you are lucky. Take this sentence because it's alone. Are you and Dad best friends? So I'm gonna read it again, as I told you. This is the part that the question asks. Mom, how long do you have to be best friends with someone if you are best friends? Talk about the best friends. So to know the answer for this question, to find the answer, read a sentence after. She flitters on my banks. They are drying stiff with salt. Here is a kind of description. Is not the answer. Well, honey, I don't think there is any rules about that. And she's complete. I guess you can be best friends with someone your whole life if you are lucky. And because this is a line alone, we're going to take it. Are you and Dad best friends? Here the girl asks her mother. So let's return back to the question, as you can find, and make elimination. Dynamics of the relationship between the narrator's mother and father, and that was mentioned in the last line. Are you and Dad best friends? When the girl asked her. So maybe because now it mentioned the father and the mother. The narrator's new best friend and how long their friendship might last. We don't find any kind of question regarding streamer Adam. There is a background sound. I think a dog or something like that.
I don't have any noise in the room now.
Yeah, I hear. Maybe you are moving with the laptop. Okay. So the narrator knew best friend and how long their friendship might last. Yes, we mentioned friendship, but nothing mentioned on those lines about new best friend. That was mentioned about the relation between father and mother. Characteristics of the narrator's relationship with one of her sisters Who is her best friend? Again, it doesn't talk about the relation with the narrator, with one of her sisters. It wasn't mentioned at all. Narrator believed that a person should have several close friends, not just one best friend. It wasn't stated at all. So we're going to cancel it. So the answer is F, because it was mentioned, the relationship between father and mother. Thank you. Number 5, Dr. Ahmed again.
Okay. The narrator's parents' mood during the action portrayed in lines 1 till 9 can best be described as.
Take care that this kind of paragraph we answered before when we are talking about the big picture, because we read the first paragraph. So here we return back to it. Do you remember when her father and mother entered the room and walked them up? So let's read it again if you want just to concentrate. Here he said, from 1 till 9. One night, after my sisters and I are in bed, and the baby cats have ceased their crying, my parents come to our room, whispering and nudging each other. Their smiles sly, as if they shared a private joke. Take care. Look now at the mood, the tone. They shake us out of sleep and say, come on, we're going to do something. We slide out of the warm caves of our beds. Our parents are gesturing us out the front door, their laughter lowered and mesmerizing. Mesmerizing means enchanting. So look now at the mood. You're going to find that it has some kind of happiness. So let's return back and find. He said boastful means prideful, and aggravated, no. Nothing annoyed the people. Solemn and mystified and mysterious, maybe mysterious, but it's not solemn. Solemn also comes with the meaning of sadness. Mischievous and enthusiastic, yes, it's playful, like a kind of games. They wake them up, they let them go to a place, and enthusiastic because the parents actually make it like a joke. Confused and stern, no. So the answer is C. I think it's direct question and can be solved with an easy way. Number 6, and Engineer Omar again. Number 6.
The main function of the third paragraph, lines 21, 29 is to.
I know that the word function, maybe it give you an indicator about that it's inference and function. No, but here, when we are talking about the whole paragraph, we are talking about a little picture. And here you can concentrate. You're going to read the whole paragraph, but you can concentrate on the first sentence and the last sentence because you're going to find the answer on them. Let's find from 21 to 29 and concentrate on the first sentence, the last sentence. Here he said what? We drive through parts of the city that I've never seen before. Take care. The girl never saw those places before, where the lights glow like melted butter, and the girls on the sidewalks are wearing brimmed hats and high heels. Did the first sentence. Let's complete. Many smile and turn to watch our car passing. I watch back, hands pressed to the window. Now the last sentence. Then we race beyond the glowing streets. They dwindle to a star, and the road ahead of us in long and dusty blue and smells like a warm blue musk, like the heat of a sheep's back. So now the first sentence of the last sentence, the first sentence said that they drove through the city streets, and those places actually are were the first time for her to see. And here she started describing the kind of the smell and the street themselves. Let's go there to make elimination. Present the narrator thoughts about the dusty streets she traveled on several times. She doesn't mention dusty streets. She mentioned the streets and she admired them. But to say several times said, how several times? She mentioned here that I've never seen before. So cancel. Describe the narrator fascination with the street lights that glow hazily and brightly. I know that she mentioned the street lights and she was fascinated by them. That wasn't mentioned in the last paragraph. It may be right. So we're going to keep it like that. Illustrate the narrator visual impression because she's describing using her senses of sight of the family journey through the city and out of it. Yes. If you look here at the first sentence, the last sentence, it said we drove through parts of the city. So in the city that I've never seen before, where the lights glow like melted butter and the girls on the sidewalks are wearing print hats and high heels. Then in the last sentence, you start mentioning, then we race beyond the glowing street, means out of the city. Out of the city. So now she's describing in and out. In and out. So this better than this. This better than this. So I cancel this. Now, make clear the narrator admiration for the clothing the girls on the sidewalk wear. I know that it was mentioned, but it wasn't the main idea or the main function of the passage. Clear, guys? Hello, clear?
Clear, Mr.
No. Okay. Engineer Ziad, number 7. Engineer Ziad.
ثمانية يا مستر.
Yes. Number 7. Read it, please.
In the passage, the phrase that blackness like a gleam in a gleaming animal lines 32 to
Animal.
33
Yes. Okay, go on.
is used to describe which of the following places or areas.
Okay. So here, or also it's a kind of inference and function that mentioned in the line. Take care. The animal means a covering, cover, like look like a cover. So a flat blackness like a gleaming animal. So it's a kind of cover. Also one of the easiest question. Let's go to 32 to 33. 32, like a blackness, gleaming animal. I'm gonna read from the beginning. When we finally get out of the car, there is a gravel lot, an expanse of folding chairs, pastures, parkland, restaurant, wedged in a long crescent along a flat blackness like a gleaming animal. That why I complete? Because it's only one sentence or two sentences left. You can complete it. Dad hold his hand out toward the gleam. And what did I promise you, kids? He asked. So I recall no promises relate to anything like this. It's the Dead Sea. Take care. Take care of the question why I intend to just complete this one. Because he needs the place or the area. And it wasn't mentioned in the line from 32, 33 or before. So I have to complete it to find the area. A long crescent-shaped stretch of developed land near the Dead Sea? No, it's not near the Dead Sea. It's the Dead Sea itself. It's the Dead Sea itself. The polished walkway along the Dead Sea, again, it's not a polished walkway. It's the Dead Sea. A gravel lot near the Dead Sea. Maybe someone is going to say it's a gravel, mister, because the gravel was mentioned. A gravel was mentioned. And here he said that it's a gravel lot near. Again, it's not near. It's in the Dead Sea, not near. So the Dead Sea itself, yes. How we know? When it's in the Dead Sea. It's in the Dead Sea. Clear, guys?
Clear.
Okay.
Leave.
The question after that, it's number 8. Inference and function, also one of the easiest. Take care that there is a question that I left it till the end. So let's go to Streamer Adam. Read number 8.
The narrator feels something like a spark of alarm, line 85, when she puts
Her hands. I don't know. I lost your sound. Hello, Streamer Adam. Hello. Guys, anybody can hear Streamer Adam?
No.
Okay. Let's continue until we know. The narrator feels something like a spark of alarm, line 85, when she puts her hands on her mother's waist, primarily because the narrator adjusts. There's inference and function with mentioning the line, so I'm going to go to 85. There's a spark of alarm, and I'm going to read, take care. He said, I put my hands on her waist, something that feels a little like a spark of alarm. I have here the word her, and I don't know who is her. So I'm going to move a sentence before. So here he said, I don't hear my father. My father is climbing out of the dark wash of the sea. I don't think it feels the way he remembers it. Talk about the father. I put my hands on her waist, something that feels a little light. So now here, is for the mother. Something that feels little like a spark of alarm bounces through me. And because there's the last thing, so I'm going to read it. Does he know that? Talk about her father. That it doesn't feel the same. So let's return back to the question. Take care. She put her hands on her mother's waist. So now we know that her for her mother. Because the narrator had just sensed her mother concerned that the narrator sisters are unable to talk openly about the family's move. She didn't mention anything about the sister in this line. Realize their father, yes, it was mentioned when we move a sentence before, might be in a situation that is difficult for him and troubling to her mother, maybe. Because even the two questions at the end, they said, does he know that it doesn't feel the same? So maybe, give me the meaning. Begun to understand that her mother never had a best friend as a child. Here it doesn't talk about best friend at all. It wasn't mentioned. Learn that her mother isn't pleased with her questions. It doesn't mention also that her mother is pleased or not pleased. So the answer is G. Take care that this kind of question, we can return back to it right now. This kind of question, now we know the big picture, that it's a dramatic life change, can be exciting and difficult. Why? Because they are talking about that her mother left America and returned back to Jordan. So it can be exciting and difficult at the same time. It doesn't talk about trips. The main thing is not trips. Okay. Question number 9. And Dr. Ahmed again.
It can most reasonably be inferred from the passage that with regard to the narrator's father's feelings about having returned to Jordan, the narrator's mother believes she is.
This is inference and function without mentioning the line, and we can skip it till the end, but we read it. We read it right now. We read it in that part. We read it in that part when we move forward. It's here. Okay. It starts from here. He talked about what? She said about the father's feeling about having returned to Jordan. So I must find something to talk about that part, but we find it here. We find it here. So I think here Jordan and here feeling. So I'm going to take this. That's it to come to Jordan, right? There is even less sound now than before, meaning that her mother stopped talking. If that it's possible, just a slip of waves on the shore. A sighing wash like the sound of someone saying shh, shh, or the rustle of the palm fronds arcing over the sand. Your father needed us to come here. He needed to see what it felt like. Take care. So her father is the one that pushed them to move to Jordan. Let's complete because I need the feeling. What does it feel like? I ask quietly, not quite knowing what I'm asking, just following the path of the question. I don't think. She started and stopped. My father is climbing out of the dark wash of the sea. I don't think it feels the way he remembers it. Okay, so her father doesn't know. So let's find now. More aware, so the mother now is more aware of his feelings? Yes. Then he himself is yet? Yes. Why? She said that here. I don't think it feels the way he remembers it. So he didn't remember. So she is more aware of his feeling than him. More surprised by his feeling than the girls are. She didn't talk about the girls. Less worried about his feeling than the girls are. We didn't talk about the girls. Less aware of his feeling than he himself is yet. No. She is more aware of him, not less aware. The last question, Engineer Omar.
Yes. According to the passage, it's common for
Uncommon for the narrator family to be. Also, this inference and function, we need to find something uncommon. But I think we read this also when we make a kind of a skimming here in this paragraph. In this paragraph, I need something uncommon about them. He said here, we have come as usual with no preparation. So the common for them that they didn't prepare for any trip. So the uncommon to prepare, the common no prepare, so the uncommon to prepare. Take care. The common no preparation, so the uncommon preparation. The opposite. So my parents let us run into the water in our underpants, like the Jordanian kids around us. So it's uncommon for them to prepare. Look here, away from the narrated father parents, it doesn't mention here. It's mentioned only in the red scooter. Traveling by car instead by train, it wasn't mentioned by train at all. Taking a long vacation together, it wasn't mentioned. Prepare for an outgoing, yes, it's uncommon to prepare for an outgoing. They only wear and go. So now we fitted this with the way, the new way, to skim the passage in 2 minutes and start answering with our way. You can try both of them and find the best way for you. Now let's solve this also with our way, the same thing. It's a social science. This passage is from the article, The Awful Reign of the Red Delicious by Sarah Yager. Streamer Adam, may you read, please? Hello?
Yes, mister, but the screen is not appearing for me.
Okay, let me stop share and share again. Yes, go on.
It's still loading. Yeah, it's open.
Okay.
In
Take care, Red
eight-
Delicious. Red Delicious, it's the story for us, okay? He said the awful reign of the Red Delicious, huh?
Okay. In the 1870s, J.C. Hyatt and Noah Farmer discovered
Our
a
farmer
discovered a mutant seedling in his orchard
orchard.
of yellow bellflower apple trees. He chopped it down, but the next season it sprang back through the dirt. He chopped it down again, it spread back again. If this must grow, he told the
Intrepid.
intrepid sprout they may.
Okay, so now we are talking about a kind of seed that appeared in his orchard, and whenever he cut it, it returned back again.
A decade later, Hyatt's tree bore its first fruit. The apples were elongated globes with red and gold striped skin, crisp flesh, and a five-pointed calyx. In 1893, when Stark Brothers Nursery of Louisiana, Missouri, held a contest to find a replacement for the Ben Davis, then the most widely planted apple in the country, strapping and good-looking but bland, Hyatt submitted his new variety, which he called the Hokie. That's delicious. Clarence Stark, the company's president, reportedly said after his first bite.
Take care that we need to read it in 2 minutes, okay?
But not for the first time in apple lore. One sweet taste precipitated a fall. Stark Brothers soon secured the rights to the Hokie, changed its name to the Stark Delicious only after branding of the Golden Delicious in 1914 did it become the Red Delicious and began an ambitious marketing campaign over the next 2 decades. The nursery spent
$750,000. I lost his. Okay, I'm gonna read it. To promote the new apple, dispatching traveling salesmen to farms across the country and aimed the delicious at the 1904 World's Fair. After the I lost your. We are here now after the completion, streamer Adam, because I lost your connection. After the completion.
After the completion of the Great Northern Railway, Clarence Stark sent trainloads of seedling to newly established orchard in the Columbia River Valley, their leaves trembling as the engines rumbled west.
Hello.
With its hardy rootstocks and juicy
Carvaceous fruit. Let me complete. Let me complete. Read Adam. Adam, let me complete. Hello.
The Red Delicious quickly became a favorite of
Can you hear me,
growers
Adam?
and consumers coast to coast.
Hello? Adam? Streamer Adam? I think there is a lagging in your internet, Streamer Adam. Guys, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. can hear you.
المشكلة عندي عشان الواي فاي ما عادش شغال فجأة. أنا
Okay,
شغال على
stop.
الداتا.
Okay, let me complete, Adam. Let me complete. From coast to coast, and as its commercial success grew, so did its distance from Heights, Hawaii. In 1923, a New Jersey orchardist wrote to start to report that one limb of a tree he had purchased from the nursery was producing crimson apples, while those on the other limbs remained green. A chance genetic mutation that made the apples written earlier had also given them a deeper, more uniform color, and customers were lining up for a taste. Bull Stark, one of the clearance sons, traveled up from Missouri and laid down $6,000 for the limb. News of the deal spread, and soon the Gettysburg Times reported that more than 500 horticulturalists from 30 states had gathered at the orchard to discuss the freak bud that produced the Marvel apple of the age. Their meeting marked the beginning of an era of fruit improvement as growers began to seek out and cultivate similar mutation. By the 1940s, the Red Delicious had become the country's most popular apple, with the broad shoulders and lipstick shine of a golden age Hollywood star. The cosmetic change were upon for industrial agriculturalists, apples that turned rosy before they were fully ripe could be picked earlier and stored longer, and skins with more red pigment tended to be thicker, which extended shelf life and hid bruises. But as genes for beauty were favored over those for taste, the skins grew tough and bitter, round, mushy, sugar-soaked flesh. Still, by the 1980s, the Red Delicious made up 75% of the crop produced in Washington. By the time selective breeding had taken its toll, according to apple expert Tom Porford, a few big nurseries controlled the market. Planting decisions were made from the remove of board rooms, and consumers didn't have many varieties to choose from. The Red Delicious became the largest composite maker in the country, said, as shoppers routinely bought the apples and threw them away. Then in the 1990, new variety the American growers had originally developed for overseas market as began to edge into the domestic market. Shoppers had been eating with their eyes and not their mouth, Borford said. And now their taste buds had been awakened. A sudden shift in the consumer preferences, paired with growing competition from orchard in China, took the industry by surprise. Between 1997 and 2000, U.S. apple growers lost nearly $800 million in surplus, a crop they had made the apples redder and redder and prettier and prettier, and they just about bred themselves out of existence. A marketing director of one Northwestern fruit company told the New York Times. Since then, Red Delicious production has declined by 40%, while the apple is still by far the most common in the US. Growers produced 54 billion bushels of Red Delicious in 2011, compared to just 33 billion bushels of its close competitor, the Gala. The industry is adjusting to a changing market. Okay, now we take a clear picture about they are talking about Red Delicious, that is a kind of apples. Let's go here. He said the main purpose. Whose turn now? Engineer Omar. Read, please. Wake up يا شباب. Engineer Omar. Engineer Ziad.
The main purpose of the passage is to.
Okay, the main purpose of the passage, how we answer it, we look at the first paragraph and the last paragraph. But because we make skimming, we know now they are talking about Red Delicious and talk about how the Red Delicious start to be. If you need to return back, return to the first paragraph and last paragraph. Here he said, in the 1870s, Jesse Hyatt, an Iowa farmer, discovered a mutant seedling in his orchard of yellow bill flower apple trees. He chopped it down, but the next season, يعني هو قطعها. It sprang back through the dirt. طلعت لوحدها. It chopped it down again. It sprang back again. If they must grow, he told the interprets proud they may. Here he said, thence Red Delicious production has declined by 40%. يعني قلت. While the apple is still by far the most common in the US, مع انها كانت الأعلى في US. Grower produced 54 billion bushels of Red Delicious in 2011 compared to just 33 million bushels of its close competitor, the Gala. The industry is adjusting to a changing market. So now we know that they are talking about the history, how they start producing or planting Red Delicious. Explore the apple variety that were the ancestor of Red Delicious. No, it didn't talk about any ancestor of Red Delicious. Talk about Red Delicious themselves. Relate the history of the Red Delicious. Yes, he talk about the history of Red Delicious. How it start to be emerged. Consider contemporary opinions of the Red Delicious. It doesn't talk about any opinion. Explain how experiment improved the Red Delicious. It doesn't talk about any experiment. Talk about the history of the Red Delicious. Another question, Dr. Ahmed.
Okay. Which of the following statements best represents the passage's central claim about the Red Delicious?
Again, big picture. I'm not going to return back and read. Now we know. Let's make elimination. Though genetic change helped the Red Delicious achieve popularity, maybe he said that it's more popular, most common, most popular in the first sentence in the last paragraph. They eventually contribute to its decreasing popularity. Yes, also he said about declining. As you can find, decline. So maybe due to the ease of fostering genetic change in the Red Delicious, it became the apple of choice for growers. Yeah, the second part is okay, but genetic change, it mentioned here and here. But I'm going to go to this because I skimmed it and I found that they're talking about popularity of the Red Delicious. Despite intense competition, the superior taste of the Red Delicious led to its domination of the market. Doesn't talk about taste, even it's one when we skim. We find that he doesn't talk about the taste at all. He said that the shape for people it start to be better than the taste. Because of the Red Delicious increase in size of the apple market, he doesn't say talk about that. He talk about this, talk about only the Red Delicious incline and decline. The development of new apple variety intensified, even it doesn't talk about new apple. So the answer is F. Question after that, number 13, and with Engineer Omar. You return back or still? Engineer Omar. Engineer Omar. Hello.
Yes.
يا عمر رحت فين يا عمر؟
موجود والله.
طيب, read number 13 please.
13 ماشي. Okay. Which of the following events referred to in the passage should
occurred first chronologically.
occurred first? Okay.
So we need the first thing that happened from those. Again, we skim it and we know that happened. We know that a farmer found a kind of strange seedling. He cut it, then it came again. He cut it, then he lifted, then it go out, then there is a competition. So we know that. So I found the answer in 9 till 14 here. In 1893, when Stark Brother Nursery of Louisiana and Missouri held a contest to find a replacement for the Ben Davis. Ben Davis is a kind of fruit. Then the most widely planted apple. How we know that it's a kind of fruit? Because it was explained here. Then the most widely planted apple in the country, strapping and good looking but bland. Haidt submitted, Haidt is the farmer here, submitted his new variety which he called the Hokie. He called it the Hokie, not the Red Delicious in the beginning. As you can find here, Stark Brother Nursery paid $6,000 for one limb in New Jersey orchard. No, this is the last. It was here when they paid. It was here when they went and paid $600. It was here, 6,000. No, mister. This after, not before. Okay, Stark Brother Nursery held a contest to find a new apple variety. Yes, in this line. The Red Delicious accounted for 75% of the Washington apple crop. Yeah, it was mentioned, but after also. It was mentioned, but after. On those lines, about 70% when the people start planting them, when they send it all over the city, the country. The Red Delicious was featured at the World's Fair. Also, it mentioned after, not before. So the first thing is B. Streamer Adam, number 14. Take care. According to the first step, how to answer, I'm going to leave this till the end. But if we skim, we can answer directly. Streamer Adam.
Yes.
Number 14.
Okay. Based on the passage, the phrase selective breeding has taken its toll, line 63,
Okay.
must
Specifically
specify
refers to. There's a kind of inference and function mentioning the words and the line. Let's go to line 63. Line 63. He's talking about selective breeding had taken its toll. So I'm going to read from the beginning. He said what? By the time, but by the time, we don't know which time. So we need to take a sentence before. So we're going to take from still. By the 19, the red delicious made up 70% of the crop produced in Washington. Take care. Here he said still. So we need to know what is still. Take a sentence before. Here he said but. So take a sentence before. So from here. The cosmetic change were a boon for industrial agriculturists. Apple that turned rosy before they were fully ripe could be picked earlier and stored longer, and skins with more red pigment tended to be thicker, which extended shelf life and head bruises. But as genes for beauty were favored over those for taste, the skins grew tough and bitter around mushy, sugar-soaked flesh. Still, by the 1980, the Red Delicious made up 75% of the crop produced in Washington. By the time selective breeding had taken its toll, according, we're going to complete till the end of the sentence. According to Apple expert Tom Pufford, a few big nurseries controlled the market. Planting decisions were made from the remove of boardrooms, and consumer didn't have many varieties to choose from. كان عندهم بس delicious red او red delicious. هنكمل طبعا لان دي اخر sentence. The red delicious became the largest composite maker in the country. He said, as shoppers routinely bought the apples and threw them away. Why? Because the shelf life is bigger, longer. يعني مش مشكلة انت تحط لها في الشلف. Okay. Let's go here. As we can find, the financial cost, it didn't talk about any financial cost. Barford opinion that the Red Delicious was hurting overall sales of apples? No, it doesn't hurt anything. The market share lost by the Red Delicious, we didn't talk about the market share. The deterioration means the declining of the taste, yes. They take care only of the beauty, not the taste and texture of the Red Delicious. That right? That was mentioned. Let's go to Engineer Ziad, number 15, Engineer Ziad. Okay, this is a little picture. And again, when we answer the little picture, we concentrate on the first sentence, the last sentence. Let's find from 70 till 82 here. And I underline the first and the last sentence. He said, then in 1990, new varieties that American grower had originally developed for overseas markets began to edge into the domestic market. Okay. Shoppers had been eating with their eyes and not with their mouth. Barford said, and now their taste buds had been awakened. خلاص رجع بقى الايه حس عاوزين ياكلوا حاجه يعني طعمها كويس مش بس شكلها كويس. A sudden shift in consumer preferences, paired with growing competition from orchards in China, took the industry by surprise. The last sentence now. Take care that the last sentence, it's here, but it has they. So we move since before. Between 1997 and 2000, U.S. apple growers lost nearly $800 billion in surplus crop. They had made the apples redder and redder and prettier, and they just about bred themselves out of existence. A marketing director for one Northwestern fruit company told the New York Times. Okay, let's go now to find. He said in the 1990, consumer preference for Red Delicious continued to increase? No, because now he doesn't mention that actually in the first and last sentence. Because they developed other varieties. And here he said that they lost money. No, mister. It wasn't mentioned, this one. In the 19, despite that this was mentioned, but this wasn't. It not increase because they lose money. In the 1990, consumer preference for fruit other than apples? No. He took mainly on the whole passage about apples, not other fruits. In the 1990, consumer preference for new apple variety. Yes, that was mentioned in the first sentence. And increased competition from overseas led to financial losses. That was mentioned also. The $800 million for US apple growth, right? In the 1990, consumer preference for redder apples? No. He said that people start looking for other variety. Yes, they made it redder and redder, prettier and prettier, but they are not looking for redder. And planting for too many red delicious? No, because actually it's inclined. The question after that, Dr. Ahmed, 16.
Okay. In the first paragraph, in the first paragraph, the seedling in Hyatt's or card is portrayed as.
Okay, take care. The first paragraph, I'm not going to return back to it because I'm not going to lose time. Now I know that the first paragraph is talk about the seedling. He cut it out, then it returned back. So then he cut it out, then it returned back, and he left it. So that means it's what? It's persistent. Persistent, determined. يعني ما وقفتش، لا طلعت تاني. Scroofy means mean, وقح. Hostile معناه unfriendly. Ordinary, no. So it's persistent, determined. يقطع تطلع، يقطع تطلع. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. Engineer Omar, number 17.
17.
Yes.
Okay. As it is used in line 18, the word second month
Secured most
must
nearly means.
nearly meant.
Okay, I'm gonna go to line 18 and read the part that has secured, as you can find here. He said what? Stark Brothers soon secured the rights to the Hawiki اللي هو الريد ديليشس. يعني اخذوا حقوق البتاع دوت. خلاص حياتي مش هيزرعها تاني. مين اللي هيزرعها؟ الستارك براذر. It changed its name to the Stark Delicious only after the branding of the Golden Delicious in 1914 did it become the Red Delicious and began an ambitious marketing campaign. وبدأوا يعملوا كامبين ليها عشان يشهروها. يبقى secure the rights يعني أخذوا حقوق. خلاص مش حد. Fastened معناه attach. لا مش attach the rights. Acquired يعني أخذوا حصلوا على حقوق الملكية. Acquired. Guaranteed لا طبعا. Fortified strength لا هم أخذوا حقوق الملكية بتاعت التفاح. 18 streamer Adam.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Number 18.
Oh.
I can't hear you well, streamer Adam.
Okay. According to the passage, which of the following methods did the Stark brothers nursery use to bring the Stark Delicious to the attention of apple growers?
Okay, take care there's an inference and function but without mentioning the lines. بس عشان انا قريت الحته دي بتاع اخذ الحقوق، اخذ حقوق الملكيه، فاكيد هم هيعملوها. طب ما تيجي نقرا في اللاين اللي بعديها. اهو. Over the next 2 decades, the nursery spent $750,000 to promote the new apple, dispatching traveling salesmen to farms. خلوا ناس ترجع تسافر للمزارع عشان تعرض الحاجه الجديده دي across the country and explain the delicious art at the 1904 World's Fair. اهو ده الحل. معناه كده ان هم عملوا ايه؟ عملوا traveling salesmen. ما عملوش tasting contest. لا خلاص كان خلص المسابقه بتاعت التيستينج. competitive pricing ما قالش البرايسنج. newspaper advertising ما قالش عن newspaper، لكن عملوا traveling salesmen يمر على الفارم. عرفتها منين يا مستر؟ ما هم اخذوا حقوق الملكيه فاكيد هيوزعوها، عاوزين يكسبوا. Thank you. Engineer Ziad, number 19. Engineer Ziad.
Number 19, the passage claims that which of the following features help extend the shelf life of apples.
Wait, mister, this inference and function, but I read in one of the line shelf life of apples. I read one of those question. I read shelf life of apples, and it mentioned here. Look, shelf life. So let's read from the beginning of the sentence. The cosmetic change اللي هو الشكل التجميلي يعني were a boon for industrial agriculture. What does it mean? apple that turned rosy before they were fully ripe could be picked earlier and stored longer, and skins with more red pigment tended to be thicker, which extended shelf life and hid bruises. طب يا مستر، طب ما كده يعني give me the answer. تعال نشوف موجوده ولا لا. خلي بالك هو اتكلم على thick skin، بقى فيه thick skin عشان كده بقت تعمل head bruises. ما قالش shiny skin، ما قالش firm flesh، ما قالش sweet flesh، اتكلم عن thick skin اهو. shelf life واتكلم عن thick skin. Skin with more red pigment and tended to be thicker. Okay, so I can find the answer easily. Now question 20, Dr. Ahmed.
In the context of the passage, the information between the dashes in line 85 to 87 mainly serves to.
Okay, here we need to look at this card, despite that we read it many times, 85 to 87, but we need to find the information between the two dashes that they are unessential, as we know. Okay, they are here, look, the dash and then the other dash, so I'm going to read the full sentence. He said, since then, Red Delicious production has declined by 40%. Why I moved sentence before? Because it's only one sentence. While the apple is still by far the most common, the Red Delicious was the most common in the US. Take care. He said growers produced 54 million bushels of Red Delicious. يعني 54 مليون من Red Delicious in 2011 compared to just 33 billion bushels. يعني Red Delicious 54 مليون، الجالا كان 33 مليون. Compare the gala. The industry is adjusting to a changing market. Let's go there to find. Show that Red Delicious production stabilized in 2011. لا هي ما كانتش stable لانه قال declining. في اللاين اللي قبلها قال مع انها وايلد ابل، هو في هنا بيقول has declined ل 40%، معناها الموست common، معناها ان هي مش stable، لا ده decline، يبقى ما يقدرش يختار دي عشان stabilized. contrast في contrast ما بين الجالا وما بين الريد ديليشيوس. The decline in Red Delicious production with the increase in Gala production. لا هو كان في decline in Red Delicious بس نفس اللاين قال ان ده 54 مليون وده 33 مليون، يعني كتير الريد ديليشيوس والقليل الجالا، يبقى ازاي decline وده عكس المعلومات. المفروض يبقى ده زاد وده قل لان ده كتير، مع ان هو مش منشن اصلا، مش منشن. Specify the size of the US apple harvest. لا هو بيتكلم عن نوعين بس، الريد ديليشيوس والجالا. illustrate the continued domination of the market by Red Delicious. قال the most common، قال لك الموست كومن وهي كانت 54 مليون لكن دي 33 مليون. Okay guys. Okay, now we're gonna go to the writing. And the writing, we know that we have 75 questions in 45 minutes. That means 30 seconds for the question. Again, solve the question that is grammar easily. For the verbs, for the parallelism, for the odd one out. And then come to anything related to writing. يعني مش حضرتك تمشي بالدور. بالدور ده هيوديك في داهية. امشي للكويشن اللي قدامك. يعني the first question زي ما انتم شايفين كده. أنا ممكن أمشيها بالشورتر. يعني في بعض الكويشن امشيها بالشورتر، والله مشيت اوكي، ما مشيت سيبها للاخر. فهنا مثلا هاخد السنتنس بيقول ايه؟ هو بيتكلم عن number 1، فناخد السنتنس اهي بتقول the nation and its news media are going in opposite direction and the public is paying the price. طبعا انا مش عارف دي صح ولا لا، فبيقول لك in 2013 Dory Marin wrote this. طب استنى يا مستر، ما ليه اقول wrote this؟ وهو خلاص هو كتبها ودوت reported speech. فواي I'm gonna mention this؟ ما هي قدامي. طب خد الشورتر دي دوري ميرنارد wrote in 2013، دي الافضل. wrote خلاص، ما هو حطينا بالكوتيشن ماركس. ليه اقول wrote this؟ ليه اقول was written by دوري؟ ليه اجيب passive؟ ليه اقول this is something دوري wrote؟ ما خلاص. اما اقول help yourself between quotation marks طبعا دكتور تامر said، ما خلاص مش هقول دكتور تامر said that ولا this was said by دكتور تامر. ليه؟ ليه صعب؟ السكند وان انا عندي كلهم verbs. ما تبص خلاص بدل ما verbs بص على odd one out. make plural، does singular، is singular، make singular. خد يا عم المختلف البلورال وبعد كده ارجع تاني لو انت عاوز تشوف. اهو بيقول she was following up on her point that although people of color شكرا انا عندي من اول that dependent الديبندنت فين السبجكت people ليه مش color لان جاي بعد preposition مفيش مفيش subject بيجي بعد preposition يبقى people plural يبقى هناخد المين اللي بعديها العلاقه ما بين جملتين اهي الجملتين اهو ماشيين اهو شايفينهم انا عندي بيقول she was following up on her point ده independent اللي جاب بادئه بذات ده dependent that although people of color make up nearly 40% of the US population يبقى انا كده عندي independent وراها dependent مفيش ما بينهم كاما ليه؟ لان ذات عمرها ما بيجي قبلها كاما بعد كده في كاما وفي while معناها ديت لو بادئه بوايل معناها كده ان هي كمان ايه؟ dependent تمام؟ يبقى عندي dependent while only about 12% of the full-time daily news journalists are people of color. طب جميل. طب يا مستر هل لو انا عندي independent نحط dependent وبعديها dependent؟ لا. لو عندي two dependent يبقى independent في النص. يعني لو عندي two لو هقول dependent ما ينفعش dependent. نقول تاني. لو انا عندي two dependent واحده فيها ذات وواحده فيها while احط ما بينهم الاندبندنت لكن ما اخليش الاثنين دول ورا بعض ما اخليش الاثنين لان ما عنديش حاجه اسمها ديبندنت طيب يا مستر معنى كده ان وايل غلط طب لو حطيت اند قال لي ركز هي قال لي اندبندنت بعد كده ديبندنت وبعد كده اندبندنت ليه نربطها بان ما هي ديبندنت بعديها اندبندنت بيتربطوا بكوما without any conjunction طب ما بط نفس المشكله يبقى delete لو delete خلاص دي حولناها بقت dependent بقت independent من غير while طبعا يبقى الجمله هتمشي independent مش بينهم حاجه بعد كده independent ما بينهم كوما number 4 نفس الكلام انا عندي هنا بقول على جمله نقرا الجمله كلها بيقول ايه طبعا دي مش عارف هي صح ولا غلط بيقول an award-winning African American journalist Maynard became a name and follow at Harvard University in 1993 تمام هل في حاجه اسمها here who is ايه here who is دي اول مره اسمع عنها مفيش حاجه اسمها here who is الغي خالص الاولانيه طب ينفع نقول here an award-winning African American journalist ركز معايا ينفع نقول here an award-winning African American journalist Maryland المفروض دي موديفاير بتوصف ميرنر طب ما هير دي ما ينفعش خالص ازاي دي توصف يعني ايه هير ايه بقى لا يبقى نشطب هير برضو وهيرز ما تنفعش لان ما بيجيش وراها ناون يبقى هنا هير سيلف نفسها مين بقى نفسها مينارد number 5 given اهو ده writing question given that all the choices are accurate which one most clearly introduces the focus of the essay. لحظة يا مستر انت بتقول essay و introduction to the essay that means that I have to look at the beginning of the introduction of the paragraph عشان اعرف هو بيتكلم عن ايه عشان اعرف انقي صح فهنا بيقول changing the face of journalism the nation and its news media are going in opposite direction and the public is paying the price. Dori Maynard wrote in 2013 she was following up on her point that although people of color make up nearly 40% of the US population, only about 12% of full-time daily news journalism are people of color. بيتكلم على الناس اللي هي ملونين البلاك والبراون والريد. بعد كده herself an award-winning African American journalist Maynard. ده الست دي بتحامي على حقوق الشعب. يعني بتدي لهم بتتكلم على ضد العنصريه طيب لو احنا قلنا became a name and follow at Harvard University in 1993 لا ما اتكلمناش عن نفسها احنا بنتكلم عن ان هي بتاخد rights advocate diversity اهو التنوع within newsroom كانت بتتكلم عن journalism for the sake of fairer representation of all communities بتتكلم عن color different colors يبقى هي دي reported news across the United States from California to Michigan to Massachusetts لا ما اتكلمناش بيتكلم عن نيوز بس ما اتكلمش عن نفسها ان هي بتعمل ريبورتنج هي كانت بتدور الاول على الدايفرستي was a member of the Society of Professional Journalism. احنا ما بنتكلمش عن نفسها، بنتكلم على دورها في عملية الدايفرستي. After that بنتكلم عن transition اهو conversely يعني العكس. طب نشوف عندنا conversely contradiction among other objects، يعني ممكن يبقى فيها هي مش تبع الترانزيشن، بس هو بيتكلم عن addition، بيزود معلومه. Besides that objective addition in comparison، في comparison. طب نقرا اللي قبله واللي بعده ونشوف هو بيقول ايه. طبعا عشان دي between two parentheses هنقرا اللي قبلها. بيقول for much of her journalism career she was involved with the Maynard Institute, a journalism education institute in Oakland, California. بعد كده بيقول لنا ايه هي دي. The institute was founded in 1977 by her father, Robert C. Maynard, former editor of the Oakland Tribune. بعد كده قال the organization is dedicated to recruiting and training people of color. يعني عندها variety to become journalists. جميل. هل هي beside that objective؟ هو ما قالش اي objective. هو ما قالش اي objective قبل. يعني ما ينفعش نقول besides. هل هي فيها contradiction؟ لا ما فيهاش. هل فيها comparison؟ برضه لا ما فيهاش. لكن other objects اهو اللي هي دي objectives بتاعتها. Recruiting and training people of color. Number 7. As you can find here. نشوف من اول الجمله لان برضه هنا بنتكلم عن transition. عندي if دي conditional شرطيه as soon as sequence whereas contradiction وuntil sequence يعني ممكن نحط بي ودي مع بعض دلوقتي. يبقى عندي لا اما contradiction لا اما condition. نقرا كده بيقول ايه. diversity التنوع among journalists in the United States must increase. Maynard believed. خلي بالكم دي between two quotation فنوت essential. بعد كده قال حاجه وقال the industry is going to meet its ethical obligation to provide a wide audience credible and accurate news. يعني عشان كده هم عاملين يبقى دي شرطيه ما فيهاش contradiction خالص. بيقول لو هم عاوزين لو if the industry is going to meet its ethical obligation to provide a wide audience credible and accurate news, diversity among journalists in the United States must increase. هتزيد. يعني لو الاندستري هتعمل الايثيكال اوبليجيشن هتميت الايثيكال اوبليجيشن فاكيد هيزيد عددهم اللي هم الكولر. يبقى اف كونديشنال دي مرتبطه بدي. طب الثانيه يا مستر نفس الكلام هي متعلقه. مفيش حاجه اسمها اتس ابوستروفي فدي هلغيها اول واحده. طيب انا عاوز بقى اعرف هل انا عاوز سبجكت فيرب فاقول it is ولا عاوز possessive noun. فنشوف كده بيقول ايه. if the industry is going to meet لا يا مستر ده انا عاوز possessive يبقى عندي there و its. طب singular ولا plural؟ انا بتكلم على الاندستري الانسيدنت بتاعتها يبقى its. نيجي نمبر 9 x y and z اهي جايبها منين هنا؟ من الجزء ده. بيقول more diversity in newsroom will naturally lead to more complete ادي دي x comma nuanced y comma and sensitive. المشكله هنا طب ما هنا يا مستر adjective وهنا adjective يبقى هنا المفروض adjective. ليه اقول with the level of nuance؟ ليه اجيب prepositional phrase؟ ليه اقول a nuance feel؟ هو جايب adjective بس ما جابش adjective و noun. ليه اقول having nuance؟ مفيش هنا اي participle مفيش اي gerund. Number 10 also I'm gonna read it هي في نفس السنتنس. more diversity new rooms will naturally lead to more complete nuance and sensitive news coverage of all communities specifically communities of color. لحظه انا هنا اتكلم على redundancy. ما انا قلت specifically ليه هقول expressly تاني؟ ما انا كلمه واحده. ما انا قلت specifically ليه اقول expressly؟ ما الاثنين بنفس المعنى ده redundancy. طب ما اقول in terms of news coverage ليه اقول in particular برضه ما نفس المعنى بتاع specifically يبقى delete. number 11 الجمله اهي many former trainees خلي بالك برضه بالاود one out the verbs اول ما الاقي verb بالاود one out. report singular work singular is singular report plural خلاص خد البلورال. طب ارجع تاني عشان تشوف قال لك many former trainees خلاص trainees plural يبقى اكيد report باسهل ما يمكن. طب اللي بعديها يا مستر number 12 هنا بيقول ايه many former trainees now report for influential وبعد كده الجمله دي قال لك the New York Times and the Washington Post. يعني بيدي example فsuch as بتدي example. طب ليه انا اقول خلي بالك ان الكولن نفس المعنى بتاع for example او such as. يعني الكولن لوحدها تلغي for example والكولن لوحدها تلغي such as. ما ينفعش الاثنين يجوا مع بعض. يعني ما ينفعش كولن مع for example ولا كولن مع such as ولا for example مع such as. يبقى دي غلط. وبرضه for example كولن غلط وكولن such as غلط. يبقى الانسر اهو 13. هنا بيقول طبعا حاجه فيها subject وبيقول help show the journalism industry that presenting the culturally drives voices of the United States through inclusive news stories written by people of color is possible. طيب انا الجمله كلها اهي. خلي بالكم ان احنا عرفنا خلاص مين المينار دي اللي بتدافع عن حقوق الكولر بيبل. طيب ما انا هاخد الشورتر لان الباقي بيقول appointed president of Maynard Institute. يا عم انا عارفها خلاص. ما انا عرفتها. طب having been leader of the Maynard يا عم خلاص ما هي معروفه من الاول وعارفين ابوها. دوري مينارد on award winning. والله خلاص مش شرط ان انا اكرر المعلومه تاني. shorter is better. نيجي number 14 بيقول the writer wants to conclude the essay. خلاص احنا عرفنا الايساي بيتكلم عن مينارد اللي بتحاول تدافع عن حقوق الجورناليست اللي هم color with a strong emphatic statement that assert a far-reaching significance of Dori Maynard work with the Maynard Institute. عاوز حاجه بتبين ان هي نجحت قوي. طب is possible؟ لا ملهاش نجاح قوي. is vital for social injustice. بنتكلم عن الفرايتي in color to give colored people the right to be journalism will likely be noticed. ازاي likely دي ان هنا نقول ان احنا عندنا strong؟ لا. make sense برضو لا. 15 suppose the writer's primary purpose had been to present highlights of Dori Maynard's work as a journalist reporting daily news. خلي بالكم انا ما بتكلمش عن دوري ميرنارد كشخصيه. انا بتكلم عنها ودورها في عمليه الكولر من الاول. would this essay accomplish that purpose؟ لا هو ما كانش بيتكلم عن دوري ميرنارد كجورناليزم جورناليست. هي بتتكلم عن دورها كازاي هي عملت سبورت للكولر. يبقى طبعا نو. طب نشوف انه نو. because it concentrates instead of Maynard efforts to bring diversity ايوه to the journalism industry. Right. طب because it focuses instead on why journalism is important to لا ما اتكلمش عن journalism important كان بيتكلم عن diversity. Is it clear guys؟
clear.